Welcome back to the Gyrl podcast. I'm Kyra. Thanks everyone for joining. All right, let's now welcome Lynita to the show. Welcome.
Good morning, Kara. It's so great to be here. Thank you.
Yes, well, I'm excited to get this conversation started with you. But what I'm going to start with is having you tell the audience listening or watching who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. So I am Lynita Mitchell-Blackwell, the intuitive business coach. And what I do is I help people to live life on fire, a life full of peace, joy, and fulfillment. And whether that is through my law firm, that is through my coaching programs, or that is through my community service. It is my goal to work with my clients to help them to dig into their skills, gifts, and talents, and for them to manifest the life that they want. And whatever a life of prosperity looks like, a life of abundance looks like, a life of joy looks like for them, that's what we work to create.
Oh, I love that. And I feel like talking to you today is so timely because while we want that feeling throughout, right, the
Yes.
year, but we
Yes.
are now venturing into the Q4 era
Yes,
of
yes,
this year. And it is a time where people start to think about um, what changes, do they want to make? Like, how can my life feel like this all the time? And I love
yes,
that you say live life on fire because I think it's important for people to not have to have like quarters or months or it's different,
yes.
times in it. But like, how can we just have this consistent feeling of joy and live this life that's like the best life ever?
Sister, you just preached a whole word. So first, can we break down the whole, it's the last quarter of the year. You
Yes.
haven't accomplished anything. So what are you going to do? Y'all release that energy. That is fear-based. That is not grounded in love. That does not imbue any of the greatness that the great I am put in you. So let that go. Okay, that's the first thing. Let that go.
Yeah.
Things happen when they are supposed to happen. Just like you said at the beginning of the conversation, that this is a timely message. And so that means that whatever is going on in your life, if you could just embrace that you are exactly where you're supposed to be at every moment, the world opens up for you. That's number one. Number two, if you embrace that everything that is happening for you instead of happening to you, that then translates to your problems and challenges now become opportunities to
Mm-hmm.
create solutions, not just for you, but for people who have your pain point. And I know that sounds salesy, but just stick with me for a moment because that leads to number three. It brings you through a journey of awakening and exploration. And the people who want to work with you are going to see that and they will naturally come to you. I tell people all the time, and they don't believe this, but this is true. I do not market. I do not market. And it's not because I don't want to. It's not because I've not been through all these programs that tell me you need to market. It's because I realize that the people who are supposed to work with me are going to be energetically drawn to me because they see the life that I live and they want something similar for themselves. Not the same, but similar. And I say it's not the same because what looks like peace, joy, and happiness, fulfillment for Lynita, it's not going to look the same for even my husband of 25 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be similar because it's grounded in the same energy of love.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Oh
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? So if we just release this whole, I've not accomplished anything, that's not true. You have lived up to this point. You've had experiences to this point that led you here to the realization that you want something different, that you
Mm-hmm.
want something more. And even realizing that there is power in that because you can use that energy to now take the time to figure out what it is you want to do, and then to execute on that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I like it. I
Yeah.
mean, you started out too with a bang. I just love it because I do feel like, I mean, we're all human. We're all, the flesh can start talking and telling you
Yes.
these things, and especially like you said, around this particular time of the year, it will tell you, like things are, oh yeah, you didn't do all those things that you wanted to do, and blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, and oh, you
Mhm.
failed at that. And we never give ourselves the grace to appreciate, like you
Yeah.
said, where we are now.
Yeah.
I mean, and
Mhm.
and I know I see this all the time on social media, but I do believe it where they're like, oh, think about the you like 2 years ago, the you 1 year ago. I mean, I'm
Yes.
sure you have seen growth and
Yes.
evolution in yourself. And I just always try to tell myself, like, I'm always evolving, like I'm
Yes.
always changing. And I
Yes.
think sometimes when we allow for, like, so many things in life changes every day. And I
Yes.
think we have to go into, or we have to live our lives with like a open heart and an open mind for, like, what's meant to be for us is going to be. And it may not look like, it may not even look like you thought it was going to look. And so I definitely, because I think, coming up in corporate America, right? When you're
Mm-hmm. Oh
younger
yeah.
and you are working in corporate America, we are told, especially I remember like being told by my parents, you're to go to college, you're to get an
Yes.
internship, you're to get a
Yes.
job from that
Yes.
intern and work your way up.
Yes.
And for so long, that was just like my plan. I was like, oh yeah,
Yes.
I gotta go, I gotta get a job, I gotta keep going. And eventually you just get to a place. So like where maybe 4 years ago, like my trajectory corporately looked a certain way. Today it doesn't look the same.
Yes. I
And
agree with
it's
that.
very, and yeah, and for a minute it was, and for a while, it took me a while to become comfortable with it, because I was like, no, 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 because no, I'm like,
Yes.
I'm I'm doing the thing, like I'm getting the positions and the titles, and of course, I mean, why don't I feel like really great? Why don't I just love this? And after a while, it's just
Mm-hmm.
like, no, because your heart desires something different. And so I just said, okay, God, all right, okay, okay. I'm gonna let you, I'm gonna just, ride this out together, and I'm gonna see where you're taking me.
It's interesting. When you were talking, I was like, this reminds me of something that I read in this book. It's by Dr. Emma Sapala, and it is called How to Apply the Science of Happiness to Accelerate Your Success. And what she does, she starts off with talking about her own journey, which apparently is all of our journeys, right? Um, you're told by your parents, if you work hard and you
Mhm,
do well, you will be successful and you will live happily ever after.
mhm,
And it starts in school and it
mhm,
continues to college and then it continues to the job. And what she realized is that number one, we all were raised by the same set of parents, right? And number two, that we never get off the hamster wheel. And she said, right, right, exactly, right. Because she said that what winds up happening is that you have worked your tail off in high school to get these scholarships and get to college. And then you get there and you're like, wait, this doesn't stop. And so you work like that again to get the job. And then you're like, oh my gosh, this never ends. But you're programmed. You're
yeah,
programmed to believe that this is how you'll be happy. And instead of thinking to yourself, there is something wrong with the program, you say there's something wrong with you.
mhm,
And
mhm,
that is absolutely not true. There is nothing wrong with you. Audience, if y'all could just say that out loud, there is
mhm,
nothing wrong with me.
mhm,
There's nothing wrong with me. There isn't.
mhm,
What it is the program. And so you have to get to the place where you decide that you're going to stop trying to live a life of perfection and instead live a life of excellence. And the difference being is that perfection by definition is meeting or exceeding standards. But I got to ask you, whose standards are these? Who set
mhm,
these standards? Because just like we have said, we didn't. Our parents set that for us. And please understand, these are well meaning people who love us, who want the best for us, but they have taught us what they knew and worked for them.
mhm,
If you have not noticed that things are a lot different for us than it was for our parents, then you haven't
mhm,
been paying attention. So wake up,
mhm.
wake up. It is time to realize
Yes.
that there is something different we have to do. And so we're going to move from trying to live up to the standards of the people who love and care about us and who taught us the best that they knew. And we're going to create our own standard. And that's where we live a life of excellence. And within that building of the standard, we're building in grace. And
Yes.
that grace is a sliding scale to understand that what is great for me today is going to look different than what was great 10 years ago and what will be great in 10 years. And
Yes.
once we get to that place, then the world opens up for us.
Yes.
We are free to experiment, to have
Mhm.
challenges, to make mistakes, to make mistakes, and to try again and really enjoy life and realize that the goal was never to finish college. The goal was to have an experience while we were on the way to the degree. The goal was never to get the house. The goal was the experience of obtaining the house and the
Mhm.
joy that will come after that for all of the blessings that come with a good night's rest, with having somewhere to call your own, with
Mhm.
helping other people to do that, even if it's just sharing your own individual story with one person of how you did that. We get
Mhm.
so caught up sometimes with trying to do this huge, big thing that impacts 100,000 people. For those of you who worship a deity, and if you call him God, you call him Jesus, Buddha, Muhammad, whatever. If any of them took that attitude, do you realize that we would have no hope in this world? I follow Jesus. And if I were to think to myself, if Jesus had in his mind, I got to impact 100,000 people before I leave, instead of focusing on the 12 disciples and then those who caught it when he was talking from the mount, they'd be blessed, great. But if there was only one person, he was going to deliver the same message. Do you realize how impactful that is?
Yeah.
If we all just walk that journey,
Mhm.
that's a life on fire.
Yes. Like it. I like it. I think too, you said a lot of things in there, but definitely was some things that stuck out, for sure, like that hamster wheel, right? That hamster wheel is real life. And I think
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of people today who are going to be listening or watching right now, and you're hearing that and you felt that because I think we all have that hamster wheel moment in our
Yes.
career where
Whew.
you're like, what? We gotta do this every day.
Yes.
Uh,
Right.
and
Every
and it
day.
and it doesn't mean like you can't love like or enjoy the work you do. I think there's
Yes.
just a difference in like how like just like Nita just mentioned like and how you do it.
Yes.
Because uh you could be a tradesperson, be a plumber and say, oh, either I could work for a large entity or I can start my own business and I can, sort of set my own hours, do my own thing, help people in the way I want to help them. Or you could work for a company where you're told, oh, yeah, we do it. This is our 5 point system. You do it this way. And it's where you find, meaning and where you find that you add value. But I think another thing that you said that's really important, and I think people need to really catch this, what I took from that as well was that, success doesn't look the same for all of us.
Yes.
Success looks very different and success will take on look different ways at different points of your life. Now, I love what you said about just breaking down about the journey or the experience of,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm going to take your example and really pull out like purchasing a home.
Mm-hmm.
So I can recall being younger, and this is just my own journey.
Yeah.
Everyone listening, just my own experience, and I'm going to say like being an African American person, right? I
Yes.
can
Yes.
recall once upon a time where it was just like, oh my God, that was like the pinnacle for Black people. It's like I'm going to get a house,
That's
like
right.
you're only successful when you get a house. And
Right.
I was like, and I just recall saying, remembering saying like, I mean, but maybe everybody doesn't want to own a home.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, just because it's been sort of beat into us or ingrained in us that like you have to have a buy a home in order for you to be successful. And then for
Yes.
the people who don't choose to buy one, then it's like, well, you're just gonna pay rent out for the rest of your life. You're gonna pay rent, you gotta pay somebody. But maybe that's not the journey for everyone.
That's
And I
right.
think, and it's so, like when we bought our house, I was like, yeah, it was a cool, it to your point, like it was great to purchase, but it was the journey that
Yes.
we took to get the home was
Yes.
where I found like the gratitude and then I was like, now, success is like realizing, y'all, we just friends out here. So we just talking. We just people who know each other. It's the journey of saying, oh, yeah, maybe, yeah, I had a credit card in college and maybe I did not handle it the way I did. So I had to pay debt off. Like
Yes.
it was a journey of making sure
Mm-hmm.
that you got your bills, your finances in order.
That's
Like
right.
it was making sure all those things, like not walking into a house that was bigger than what you could afford just
Yes.
because I mean, they will like, I guess that's the one funniest thing to me in this life will be when you go into like car discussions, home discussions, and people find out how much money you make, and they're like, "Oh, well, you could afford." I was like, "No, I don't care what you think I can afford. Here's
Yes,
what I'm looking to pay."
because they never factor in, oh, I got to put gas in this car. I still need to eat. I would like to go to the movies from time to time.
Exactly. I know it's so funny to me. I'm like, no, you're not going to dictate to me. And I'm not a sucker. Like, no, no.
Yes.
What we're gonna do,
Yes.
what we're gonna do is find something suitable and
Yes.
affordable
That's right.
that where you, like you said, you can still enjoy those other things in life that you enjoy. But I
Yes.
just appreciate you calling that out because I do think that it's important for people to enjoy the experience.
Yeah.
And I think over the last 4 years of my life, I have more so enjoyed, even when it was like rough times, right? Like you said, when you're going through something, even in the going through, I will still thank you, God, for it all. And just, I don't know why you got me going through this. Thank you. And then,
Yeah.
and it's always revealed, right? It's revealed to you like the why, like you know the why, like why it took so long for this to happen, and and those things. But it is about that journey, and the experience of getting there to that thing.
Yeah.
So, whew, I feel like man, like you've been dropping your nuggets this morning.
That all
so
comes from the divine, sis.
so as we talk about like our lives and we talk about our mindset, because a lot of this work and a lot of this feeling and getting to living the life on fire is a lot of mindset work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And as we go through the process, right? So, I mean, there are things, our self talk is really important. We can tell ourselves certain things. But I think there's one thing that, in preparing for this and, sort of reading notes from you and looking at this, something that you put in that I'd like to touch on is just the state of our world today, right? So when someone says the words, I'm tired,
Mm.
why is it considered, a bad thing, right? And how do we as a world, how do we get out of that mindset of saying when somebody just says like I'm tired?
Yeah. So I believe that I'm
Oh,
tired
I'm not
has,
hearing
oh, you can't hear me right now?
you. Maybe me. Hold on. We're gonna pause this real quick.
Okay. So I believe that the words I'm tired have become taboo because we think that being tired indicates weakness. And that is not true. The body has natural functions that rejuvenate when we rest. And there is this feeling, this thought, this mindset that if we can't override our body's normal and natural functions, that we are less than, that we are weak, that we have not shown mastery. But I would like to flip that on its head. The person who embraces his or her body's natural tendencies are the people or the person who really understand their life assignment and who are going to be absolutely successful. Um, Churchill, who was the prime minister for England, the UK, he used to take daily naps.
Mhm.
I don't know how many people understand that. This man used to get up early in the morning and he would work until about 1 or 2 in the afternoon, and then he would take a 3 to 4 hour nap
Mhm.
because then he would go to meetings and parties and gatherings, networking, what we would call networking now, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Sessions in the evening. And he would be out until 10 and 11. And then he would have to spend a couple of hours getting ready for the next day. Well,
Mhm.
that's why he lived a long life, because his body was getting the rest that it needed.
Mhm.
We sit here and we say to ourselves, why am I getting sick? Why am I irritable? Why am I not excited about life the way I used to be? Well, because, beloved, you're not taking care of the vessel that is supposed to take you through this life.
Mhm.
It needs rest. It needs water. It needs exercise. It needs sunlight. It needs nutritious foods. What levels it needs is a variable that each person has to take the time to determine for
Mhm.
oneself. For some people, they really are good with 4 to 5 hours of sleep every day. Other people, that is absolutely not,
Mhm.
I can't even function like that. For me, I need about 7 hours.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's a little less, sometimes a little more. It's 7 hours. But that has changed throughout my life too. And that goes back to the standard of an excellent versus a perfect life. When I was younger and I was still a developing human as a teenager, I slept more. That was normal. Your body is
Mhm.
going through all these changes. But now that I'm older, I don't need as much sleep.
Mhm.
Once we get to the place where we even embrace that rest is also just sitting quietly in silence, not
Mhm.
watching TV, not reading a book, but just sitting there and allowing your body to expand, to just go through its natural process, to listen. Sometimes rest is meditation.
Mhm.
That is listening to God or source, whatever you call them, to see what is next in your life, to see what you should be doing right now to prepare you for that. And for some of us, and we don't want to hear this when it's spoken, sometimes it's nothing. Sometimes it's sitting on pause and waiting for other things to come into alignment for the thing that we want to jump off and do. I believe that that is where this hustle culture and to get
Mhm.
out and go and to push,
Mhm.
the moment where I stopped doing that and I allowed things to come into place the way God wanted them to be in my life is the moment where a lot of stress and aggravation fell off of me. I look at pictures of myself during those times and I can see the stress and the worry and the lines
Mhm.
in my face, and I compare it to now, and for some of the pictures I look like a totally different person. I
Mhm.
actually met a gentleman, Ian Matthews, about a year ago. And the pictures I had on my website at that point were taken during that gotta go get him kind of a place,
Mhm.
right? And he was meeting me as I am now. And he said, "You don't even look the same." And I knew what he was talking about. And I just started laughing. I said, "Brother, I hear you. I'm going to take some new pictures." Okay. Which I did. But that is why the words "I'm tired" have become
Mhm.
a taboo. That is why we feel like
Mhm.
we can't say them. But I would like people to embrace those words as an admission that we need something else. We need something
Mhm.
more.
Mhm. True. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that, Lynita, and because I think, like you said, that whole the hustle culture. I mean, it's like, oh, I'm up 24/7 working on my business, and it's like, yes, but when do you rest? When do you take a
Yes.
break? And I only say that as
Yes.
also a reformed, as someone who, works a day job and then has to work on the business after my job. I had to figure out, like, how do I get some rest? And so I stopped. So I just took a break. I said, you know what? I mean, I would spend all day Saturdays like working on my business all day, like all day. And then even like, Sundays, like And it would be church and then working on the business. And I had to tell myself, I was like, but I'm never getting any rest because then I have to go right back into Monday and work my corporate job. And it's like
Right.
just a
Yes.
never ending like hamster in the wheel, just going. And so eventually I just said to myself, I'm burnt out. I'm not gonna do this anymore. I'm gonna work when I feel like working, and I'm going to stop. And I'm gonna stop like staying on, line like for my day job until like 6:30 and 7 o'clock. And no, everybody else says goodbye at 5:30. I'm gonna say goodbye with them.
I know that's right. I like
I'm
that. She
gonna
said,
say
I'm
good.
gonna
I'm gonna
say
say good.
goodbye too.
Yeah, I'm gonna see y'all tomorrow. And and then it's like there's certain days throughout the week that I have chosen that I will work on the business for a few hours after work. But for the most part, I try to take the time and like spend time with my husband, my puppy, and just like rest and sit in that chair. I have a favorite chair that I sit in. And I sit in that chair and my dog sits on the ottoman in front of me and we just chill. And I'm like, wow, I love this because I'm just like replenishing my soul and my body. I'm headed for that
Yes.
chair later today too.
Yes. Yes. And see how you have a plan for that?
Yes, yes.
We don't plan for rest, and then we want our bodies to perform optimally, excuse me, for the jump off. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if people really realize that rest is not just the body, it is the mind as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Yeah.
You want to be able to create these amazing programs and these amazing relationships, and there is no foundation for that. We got to plan it just like we plan to eat, just like we plan to brush our teeth every day, just like
Mm-hmm.
we plan to go out with friends. We have to plan our rest too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Now, aside from even the word I'm tired being so-called a tab is taboo because it's not a bad thing. So everyone listening, take Lynita's advice, like plan for it, plan for
Yeah.
rest.
Yes.
Give your body time. The work will be there. I always say it'll be there tomorrow. Um, and as I always tell, like I say this to my team at my job, I'm like, look, we're not saving a life today. We work in marketing. So like I'm not gonna perform open heart surgery. I'm not gonna, rescue anybody from burning buildings. So guess what? Like you can chill. Like we can just chill and do our jobs.
It's interesting though. Let's play with that a little bit if you don't mind.
Yeah.
For those who are in the healthcare industry, the doctors and the nurses and the
Mm-hmm.
CNAs, right? Where every day you are making decisions that will
Mm-hmm.
literally impact someone's life's longevity, right?
Yeah.
If you don't take care of you and you drop dead today, what happens to your family?
Mm-hmm.
Is that patient who's sitting in front of you receiving service if you have just dropped down on the ground? No.
Right.
So it is important that you rest too. It's imperative that you rest too.
Mm-hmm.
And I realize the hours that you work. My mother was a nurse for 40 years. And at least a third of that she spent in hospitals.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that you work 12-hour shifts, 3 days on. I know that you can be called in at any time, but that makes it more imperative that for the time that you are not at work, that you are
Mm-hmm.
resting.
Mm-hmm.
So don't overschedule. And it is easy to fall into that because you're like, but I got to serve my church. I got to be out in my community. My kids need me. My spouse needs me. I have aging parents who need me. I get it. But as a person who was going through all of that, I wound up with stage 4 endometriosis, and it almost took me out of here. And the thing that finally got my mind right was the thought that if I did not change the way that I was living, believing that everything has to be done right now, as Kara said, that it can't wait till tomorrow. I didn't believe in that, that I was not going to see my child graduate from high school. And she was little at that point. She was only 6. She found me one day literally passed out in the middle of the floor from exhaustion. She thought I was sleepy, and she got her blanket from her bed and put it on my body, and she got her pillow and she tucked it under my head and she kissed me on the forehead and she said, "Good night, mama." And
Mm,
the only thing I had strength to say was, "Good night, baby." I did not have the strength to get up off the floor and put my child to bed. So I am not talking from some theoretical place here. I'm
mhm,
talking from real experience. You must place yourself first. And that is not something that we're taught to do in our society. We're taught that it's selfish. And
mhm,
it's not, it's soul focused. It's a
mm,
realization that if you do not fill your cup, you cannot pour into anyone else's. Not will not, cannot, because there's nothing there.
mhm. Oh, yes. Well, I want to first thank you for just being very transparent with the community, because I think it's important when people come here and share that, you know, you're pulling from a place of experience. You're not
Yeah,
just coming here and just telling us like, oh yeah, you need to do these things. And I mean, you've lived this.
yeah,
And so I think for anyone watching or listening, I mean, if you find yourself in this place, because we've all been there. I
yeah,
mean, I think the people that listen to this show or watch this show are all ambitious people who want to find success in a way, you know, that's meaningful for them. But even for us, like we still have to stop. We have
yeah,
to give ourselves grace. We have
yes,
to allow ourselves room to rest. And the reason why we can say that to you is because we have done it too. Like we've done,
yes,
like we've
yes,
been on the
sis.
other side of like, I'm just going, and you're going, and where are you going? Because somehow when you're
I like
going
that.
like
Where are you
that,
going?
when, because when you're going like that, you really just end up in the same place. Like you end up in the same exact place doing all those things. And I have to say that because I was doing that. I was doing that for like 2 years with even this business. Just I was thought I was burning it up. I was tearing it up. I'm just, oh, she working all day. She working through the night, y'all. And then just ended up in the same place and looking crazy and
Yes,
frustrated and, you know,
yes,
and angry about, you know, like, why isn't it moving the needle? Why isn't it doing what I need to do? And then, like, I mean, eventually God was like, because you need to sit down, child.
yes,
Sit your butt down over there. Okay.
yes. And when we're talking about attracting our clients, the
Yeah.
ideal client for us, they don't find that attractive.
Yeah. Yeah.
They do not find you looking stressed and like Beetlejuice. They don't find that attractive. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's like, why would I listen to you when you look like that?
That is a manifestation of what is going on within your
Mhm,
soul.
mhm.
That is a manifestation of what is going on in your life. Beetlejuice, no, we don't want that for ourselves.
Oh my gosh, I love that because that was funny. Oh my goodness. Okay, so people might be, you know, the people listening and watching, they're like, I got you. I hear you. I want this, you know, I want this. I want to find, you know, I want to live on fire all the time. I want to find success for me, not for my cousin, my sister, my brother, my
That's
mom.
right. That's right. That's right. Mm-hmm.
A lot of that comes, you know, in getting to that place of what success looks like for us, right? A lot of that is also being able to ask for, you know, what we want and what we need.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I know a lot of times because a lot of our listeners are women, so sometimes it's not as easy for us
Hmm. Tell
to
that.
so what kind of tips can you give as far as like being confident and always asking for what we want or need?
Right. So the first thing, you be confident when you first give yourself what you want and what you need. We teach people how to treat us by how we treat ourselves. So if we want other people to have consideration for us and to place value on our presence, then we first must do that for ourselves. What does that look like? What does that look like outside of the platitude, right? Well,
Mm-hmm.
first of all, when we get up in the morning, that we do stuff for ourselves. Drink some water, stretch your body, pray and meditate, light a candle and have the room smelling like something that you want to smell like, right? Little things. And I've not said anything that's going to cost you a dime. So wherever you are in your financial journey, those are things that you can absolutely do for you. And try to do those things before everybody else in the house wakes up. So even if it's, quote, just 10 minutes, you must prioritize yourself for those 10 minutes. That sets the standard for the rest of your day. After you go in and you take care of everybody, because I know I got a family too, right? Everybody is good to go. You make sure that you are eating foods that are nutritious for you. Take the time to find out. I know that there are all these contradicting things, right? As far as nutrition out there, you have to take the time to figure out, am I supposed to be a pescatarian? Am I a meat eater? Am I a carnivore, right? Should I be a vegetarian? Take the time to find out what's best for your body and then move on that. If you are not a great cook, shop at places where they have easily preparable meals. I like to cook, but I don't have the time. And so I will get a piece of meat that has already been pre-seasoned and a bag of steamable vegetables that I can just throw into the oven or the microwave or the air fryer. I put them all in one pot, cook it up, and I have this amazing line of seasonings. Tiger Life seasonings makes everything taste amazing. These are, again, little things that now that you're prioritizing yourself, you're showing people that this is what I expect and how I expect to be treated. When you walk through the door at work, say good morning, even if you know a person isn't going to say it back. When you're in meetings and someone trying to talk over you, just say, "Excuse me, I am speaking." We saw Vice President Harris say that, what they count, 87 times with Mike Pence when she debated him 4 years ago. And it was effective because eventually he realized how he was coming off as an ogre, as an overbearing ogre, and he finally stood down. We have to do these things for ourselves. I have not said anything yet that is costing you a grip, but it is an investment in who you are and your future and how you're being treated. When people ask you to participate in things, look at your calendar. Don't just say yes. And if there is something that you can't take off the calendar in order to say yes, say no. I don't care that you think that it is the greatest thing that has ever happened. If it is going to cause you to have to work 25 of the 24 hours so that you are not resting and taking care of yourself, the answer has to be no. Because remember, if you don't, Beetlejuice on the floor. We don't want that. We don't want that. And at the end of your day, do something for your body. I like working out in the morning, but I realize that that is hard, especially if you have small children that have to be at school really early in the morning or you have a long commute. I get it. So at the end of the day, take a walk. If you're not in a place where it's safe, now this is one thing I will say, go ahead and put $200 and get a walking pad. I got one from this company, I think it was called Deer, and it was $180. Best investment ever. So when I get home and it's too late to walk or the mosquitoes are just out of control, I can get on my walking pad and I can watch one of my favorite programs while I'm doing it. These are things that we must do for ourselves.
I like it. I like it. Thank you so much. All right. So you have been so great to chat with. So I'm sure people are thinking, how do I connect to Lynita and how can I work with you? So can you talk about that?
Absolutely. So the best way to reach me is my website. It's Lynita Mitchell-Blackwell.com. That's Lynita Mitchell-Blackwell.com. And we can connect in any way that you're comfortable. So you can join my email list, follow me on social, however you want. My next event is actually going to be an annual retreat I do. It's called the 90-Day Breakaway. It'll be in March of 2025. And so we will release all the information about that in December. But in the meantime, if you go to my website, the tab is right at the top. It says 90-Day Breakaway. If you click on it, gives you a good overview of the program through a video. And if you're interested, you can click on that, get more info. I'll get the email and add you to the list so that you can get the overview in December. So it'll be like Christmas for everybody.
Awesome. I love that. All right, so we're going to move into three things with Lynita. I'm going to ask you three questions that just helps our audience get to know you a little bit better. The first question is a two-parter. It's how do you start and end the day? I think you've given us some insight into that, but yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, look at her answering the question. All right.
So my day starts with prayer and meditation. And
Mhm,
some people call it devotion, but and that's what it is. I get up, I drink some water, I light a candle, and I sit in front of my altar. It has pictures of my parents, my grandparents who have gone on, and my great aunt who founded our family reunion because family is big for me, right? And
mhm.
I have another picture of my husband and my daughter. And I sit there and I give thanks. I give thanks to God for waking me up, for getting me started, for being in this body, to give me clear direction on what I should do for the day and how I can be more loving and more generous in my time, talents, and treasures as I go through the world. Then I do my exercises. I recently joined a challenge through Mom Boss. And so your friend is sweating to the oldies some days, I tell you, but I make it through. I make it through,
Yes.
you know. And then I go and I get dressed because by that time, the family has awakened. At the end of my day, I close out like I began. Normally it's with some series of stretching or walking or sometimes it's just sitting there still. And I watch something that will relax me.
Mhm.
Right now, I'm watching a series on Netflix called Chaos. It's very intriguing. And then I go to bed and I do make sure that I get at least 6.5 hours so that I can be the best person that I can be during my day.
Mhm. Awesome. Love that. All right. The second question is what's a goal or intention that you set for yourself this year? And if you don't mind sharing, where are you with that?
Absolutely. So I do a vision manifestation board annually. And so at the top of the board, I have pictures of myself and there is a statement of what I want to achieve for that
Mhm,
year. But I also have pictures of my family members and things that I would like God to do
mhm,
for them. And it's nothing that I'm pressing on them. These are things they've shared with me. And so
mhm,
I'm standing in agreement with them, right?
mhm,
And
mhm.
then at this bottom of the board, I have what I want to happen over the next 5 years. So the things that I've said that I want for this year for myself, I said that I wanted to build a certain amount with my law firm. I wanted to build 300,000, and I actually am on track for that. I might actually exceed it depending on how the last quarter of the year goes. So go
Mhm.
God.
Yeah.
I said that I wanted to do at least 50,000 in my speaking business, and
Mhm.
I have not reached that goal, but I started working with an excellent speaking coach who has helped me to really hone my message
Uh-huh.
so that I can get in front of the people that I need to get in front of to get
Right.
that number. So that's on track. And then regarding my husband, I had two things for him. And he has accomplished both of those as of last week. So
Oh,
yeah,
no.
and one of them he was running for an elected position and he won.
Oh,
So
congratulations.
yes, I'm very proud of him. And then for my daughter, the two things for her is that she participated in the debutante cotillion for my sorority. And so that
Mhm.
was this spring, and she was beautiful and had a wonderful experience. And then the second is the celebration of her senior year, which we are going through now.
Oh,
So, I feel very good about how 2024 has been
mhm.
opening up. I look at it as a beautiful flower. So I'm enjoying my flower.
Awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
All right. And the last question is, where are you currently finding inspiration?
So right now I am finding inspiration in YouTube. So I have just been allowing the algorithm to bring certain things to
Mhm.
me. Most recently, I was listening to Dr. Larry Reed and Archbishop Bernard Jordan. They did a 2024 prophecy
Mhm.
an inspiration video, and I think they were only slated to do like an hour, and they wind up over 3. But it was really good because I could listen to it in the car, you know.
Mhm. Mhm.
But in listening to that, it has pulled other things up for me, and I
Mhm.
have really been enjoying that. So yeah, so YouTube is
Awesome.
where I'm finding inspiration right now.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. So my last question for you is, what are 3 things you'd like the audience to take away from our conversation today?
Yes, the first is that you must prioritize you. If you don't, no one else will. And it's not because they don't love you, they are just doing what you have instructed them to do based on your actions. Number 2, I would like you to commit to living an excellent life instead of a perfect one where you set your own standards and you build grace into your life each and every day. And number 3, to remember that life is happening for you and not to you, that every experience, no matter how good or how bad it seems, there is an opportunity for you to really dig into your skills, your gifts, and talents, and to come out of it better, stronger, more prosperous in every way, not just the financial, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually and financially. But you got to embrace the opportunity for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're
Well,
welcome.
Lynita, thank you, thank you, thank you. This has been a pleasure. And I have enjoyed this conversation. So you can always come back and see us here at Blow Up Girl in the future.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. And I have to laugh because, I did not realize that we were both Mitchell girls.
Yes,
So, hey, guys.
I know, right? Yes, we are. I saw that from the beginning. I was like, who are our people? Also, well, stay tuned, everyone. I'll be right back.